This is WBSM On Demand.
It's time for South Coast Now with Chris McCarthy. Streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Text us using App Chat on the WBSM app. Now, Chris McCarthy.
Are you shocked that my guest hasn't arrived? I guess I'm not. I guess he's more comfortable outside the window than being here in the arena. This is a... is he here? So we were waiting for him to come down here. What that's feeding back for? Obviously, we had to take a little additional security precautions due to the behavior yesterday. So, Mr. Mata, you can sit right there, sir. Those headphones, just check out the sound for me. Good?
If you talk something.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, great. So, Mr. Mata, this is what is it like on this side of the glass as opposed to yesterday?
Well, I had
Just stay on the microphone, please.
I had no way of listening to the program if I wasn't there and I didn't know what was going on. So there's no parking signs along here. I mean, basically, I look now and there's no signs, do not park or anything like that. But I heard my name on the radio and they were saying things that weren't necessarily true in it.
And you get the opportunity to dress up. What did Mr. Corey say that you didn't think was true?
Well, he said, I've been in office for 2 terms. That's not necessarily the case. I was elected when Mr. Biden was on the presidential ballot last time, and I won that election, and I served for 4 years. 4 years are up now. I'm up for grabs again. Basically, there's been a movement to take me out of the running, and people were contacting others to run against me. And all of a sudden I show up at my town meeting and there's Corey there waiting, wanting to speak and talk, but it's his total right and I had him available. There was a debate that we had settled on to do it, and we both agreed to attend. And at the last minute, Mr. Corey says, well, I got a town meeting that I can't quit, so I'm not going to be able to be at the
Those
debate.
are generally scheduled far in advance.
They were far in advance.
Yeah.
And again, it was one of these things. It was a budget meeting or something like that. I don't know what to say about that, but it was called off. And I've come in here a few times and left you notes, which I've never received anything back to call me about issues that I have and that I would like to see, worked on, and never a thing. And I came by a couple of times to refresh that request or whatever, but I'm sorry you...
Well, you have my phone number. You could have called me.
Yeah, I did. I could, but...
You never called me. You never called me.
I never called you. Okay, well,
you're implying almost like you did and I didn't get back to you. Listen, you don't have any reason to come by the radio station and leave me notes.
Okay.
It's not something anyone here is comfortable with. I have to be honest with you. You see how much security we have out there?
It was
That's
wrong.
for a reason.
It was wrong.
Yeah.
I look back on it now and I says, gee, why are they, on me or whatever. But I don't want to get into a match comparing me to him and whatever.
That's what elections are for.
Right. Okay. Well,
So why do you want to? Well, what have you done in the 4 years? Let me ask you a question. You made an interesting statement at the beginning. There's a movement to try to get you out. Why do you think that is?
Again, that's getting into issues that are are such that the power people that are running the Mattapoisett Committee have decided that it would be better not to have me as their rep. The state committee that I belong to, we have rules and regulations. And one of the rules and regulations that we have as a state committee is that when there is a primary where several people are running for office, like, say, governor or lieutenant governor or anything like that, the policy of the charter is that nobody is to rally around one or two of those people until the primary is over. And then as a unit, we can come together and support Maura Healey if she makes it or whoever she makes it. And that was our policy. And I have no qualms with that at all. Wait for after the primary, and after the primary, you can go. But it has consequences in that a person that doesn't want to debate or doesn't want to do something, can't participate. I mean, he can't participate. So what our committee went and did was to change our charter to say that that's not going to be the case anymore. As a committee, we can select anybody before the primary and go with that person and run with that person. And I didn't think it was right. And I called the state committee and I says, my committee in Mattapoisett is changing the rules on the whole thing. Right. And they said, hey, it's their call. It's their committee, their organization. They can do it. So it's okay. And I let it go at that point in time. But in my opinion, I've been targeted for some of my views.
Who's targeting you?
Well, the supporter that I've had for a long time of Mr. Strauss, we'll use his name. Sure. Strauss. I don't really get him overly excited about me, but he is.
He's overly excited about you, though. He wants to get rid of you, right?
He definitely. Well, I can't say he definitely does. I don't know what his thoughts are.
He endorsed your opponent. He recruited your opponent. He endorsed your opponent. That's more than I've ever seen him do.
Right, because of the fact that I may have worked with a guy named Rick Trapello who decided to run on the Democratic ticket against Mr. Strauss.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, I'm not saying that.
Right. So you worked with Rick Trapello?
Well, I tried to help him out as much as I could from Mattapoisett, just from Mattapoisett.
That's your right. Nice guy, yeah.
That was the thing, and I thought he was a wonderful individual and well worth the quality of the job.
And it was within the Democrat primary?
It was within the Democratic Party, but they never really got to debate because of the fact that our committee endorsed whatever. I didn't really want to go into,
Well, this is party politics. This is what it's all about.
Unfortunately, that's the case.
Well, this is a state job for the political party. So we are going to get into it. I mean, I find it very interesting. I've been involved on the Republican side for a long time. So I get it. I understand the dynamics. And it's a very interesting race. So you helped Rick Trapello, your committee endorsed Strauss, and Bill Strauss came up the winner.
Yeah, okay.
Now he's coming for your throat.
Could be the case. Yes,
that's what's happening.
Whatever. I don't necessarily want to slam anybody in this arrangement. I just want to say who I am and what I've done and everything like that.
So let's do that. So Democrat State Committee, like the Republican State Committee, every 4 years you're on the presidential ballot. People can vote today. Where do they vote in Mattapoisett?
Town Hall is our...
Early voting, Democrat primary, Charles Marta is on the ballot. Talk about what you've done, things like that. Yeah.
Basically, I went to a meeting 25, 30 years ago of the Democrats and the older people in Mattapoisett that were part of the party. And a guy named Mr. DeCoster, who happens to be one of the longest serving town selectmen or whatever in the area, he had a complaint to make. And he says, you got all these old people here running the show and doing things like that. We need more young people to take the role up. So at that done, I got more involved in party politics and everything like that. But it's local politics. It's not party politics. This is the first state job I've ever had, and it's an unpaid job.
Yes, it is.
There's no money for it. Right. And I've had 100% attendance at all the conventions and anything being asked for, and more people are up there from our group than from the state legislature, the Senate, or anything like that. Really? If it's like last year, there was no issues that there were in progress, so it wasn't many people in attendance. But that's what I am running for. What have I done? Basically, I originally ran for library trustee. I was in the library trustee category. I won that race, and part of my responsibility was something I never had to deal with, and that's what they called prevailing wage. Yeah. So the library needed a new roof and the like, so who's going to do it? So I took the role on, and it was an experiment. It was an experience because there's so many rules and regulations. You have to pay this, you have to do that, and everything like that. I got the job accomplished, but it was more than I want to do. So that I served on probably about 4 terms on that. And then I went on to the Mattapoisett School Board. So I ran for that, and I won that one.
Okay.
And that opened up to a role in the Old Rochester School Board. So I was part of that board, too, in the Mattapoisett Board. Some of the things I've done on that board was I reached out to the 3 senators in our district, and that is in Old Rochester District, and that was Montigny, Pacheco, and Rodericks.
Yes.
Each one of them has a different town. And I requested that they visit with our new superintendent and tell him what his needs are and what your needs are and everything. It was a wonderful relationship. Good. Nothing that I participated with. They all came back. Now I'm doing it again because there's new players that are coming along and the like.
Sure.
So they attended. One of the things that I tried to do in the capacity of the Old Rochester School Board was there was going to be a new facility opening up on Route 3, and that was called Hollywood East, it was called. And what they wanted to do was, instead of just Hollywood, there were so many films that were being done in Massachusetts and the area that it would be nice to have a studio instead of going all the way to Hollywood to do it. So I reached out to the government and everything like that, but it turned out that the governor at the time did not want to cut another exit onto Route 3 to allow them to go into a golf course that they were going to buy and make up this studio. So it fell through, and also the whole concept.
Didn't that guy go to jail?
I don't know which guy that was.
The guy who was going to do that studio
It could have been something. There was a
lot of fraud with the movie tax credits and things like that.
He was going against Hollywood, and you don't do that type of thing, So there was.
Do you think that they got him?
I guess they did. I was not involved in that. The other
you
thing,
just brought it up. I'm just wondering
what came of it?
Yeah.
It was the idea that they couldn't put an exit on that highway, so it would be not worthwhile to make a U-turn for 40 miles about. The other thing I'm trying to do now is to be able to have a university do evening classes at Old Rochester. We got a tremendous studio there, and we could do that. And for a fee, they could rent our facility. So that's another.
Are you still on the school board out there?
I am still in the, no, I gave it up about last term, 2 or 3 terms ago.
Okay, yeah. So you have the town of Mattapoisett, not Rochester, Mattapoisett, Acushnet, Fairhaven, Dartmouth in the city of New Bedford.
Senator Montigny is the 2nd Bristol Plymouth district.
Yes.
And I am the representative that he has at the state committee.
Yeah.
So we don't, deal that much together and talk about it, but I'm very friendly with Mark, and he's an excellent individual. So
I agree with that. He's a good friend of mine. So you have a lot of reps in your district. How is your relationship?
Only one. In our district, we just have
5.
Oh, we got 5 in New Bedford. Strauss is one of them.
Yeah.
Strauss is in Mattapoisett, in that area, this and that. There are enough people.
How is your relationship with the other reps? So we know Bill Strauss and you don't get along. That's fine.
Well, I got along with him, and I supported him for a long time, as I was part of the Democratic Committee in Mattapoisett. He did a good job, but by the same token,
it was time for him to go.
He lives in an area you can't even go to his house.
Really?
He lives at the Tassawam-Segantsit, which is at the end of 140. And there's a big sign, do not enter private property, do not this and that. So, it's a type of thing. He doesn't have any meetings. He doesn't have an office. He doesn't have much of anything here. He just cuts ribbons.
Well, no, I mean, he has no relationship with this radio program either.
Not a problem.
And I have many of the other reps on. Mark Montigny was sitting where you are for over an hour the other day. The mayor of New Bedford sits here every week. So you're not going to be arguing here that Bill Strauss is around a lot. I don't see the guy. But he wants your job. Or he wants his guy to get your job.
He wants Leon to take over a role.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be, I know if you're in politics, you got to be nasty and you got to come up there. But the guy moved from Chicago like 4 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's, a force to be reckoned with. And I guess he is. I don't want to go into that. That's not my thing to smear people. I mean, it's bad enough now that if I can talk to you and find out that you've got an R at the end of your name, it's an automatic thing. Not that it's with me.
Right.
I've been working with Robert McCarthy in this
Bob,
area.
good guy. Yep.
Good guy and a sheriff. And I would like to have him work with me on this project that we're moving forward to. We're both going to be delegates at our specific Democrat or Republican committees,
yes,
and we can bring back a lot of information. There's a lot of tension, because of DNRs, but
there shouldn't be.
There should not be. Definitely not be.
We have a combined goal to get more, I would say, young people and older people who've fallen away from the system, into voting, all that stuff. You'd agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
Do you want to see how I can solve that problem?
Please.
When I was with,
let's take a quick break and we'll come back. This is a good time to take a break. We have Charles Motta here in the studio. He is running for re-election to the Democrat State Committee. He's the incumbent on the Democrat State Committee, which is a really important position. It's not taxpayer funded. The man's not getting paid to do the work, but it's important. So stick around. We'll be right back.
She was seaside, sitting just smoking and drinking on ringside, on top of the world, oh yeah. She had a drink in her hand, she had her toes in the sand, whoa, what a beautiful girl, ah yeah.
Welcome back. I'm Chris McCarthy. And we are speaking with Charles Motta, who's running for re-election to the Democrat State Committee. So you can literally vote now. He'll be on the presidential ballot. This focuses on, he'll be on the state committee, so it's the entire Democrat Party of Massachusetts. But for you folks who are voting, it'll be the town of Mattapoisett, where he's from, the city of New Bedford, where I know his family had a business for a number of years, the town of Fairhaven, where we are right now, the town of Acushnet, and Dartmouth, of course. So talking about getting more people involved in party politics and voting. The floor is yours.
Well, let me talk about another aspect that I've been involved in the days, quite a few years ago. There was a lot of issues with drugs and items like that. There was a little Portuguese lady on Bullitt Street, and she lived across from a lot of these drug users. And she was very, very concerned, and she really got involved in trying to quell the thing.
Sure.
We started a committee together called the Bullitt Street Neighborhood Association.
Sure.
I was helping her as much as I could, and she was helping her, get this thing across. And we did tremendous effort in doing it. She was honored by the State House as a member of people that actively do whatever. But we ended up having one of the other programs that I did in the city of New Bedford is a creation of a new program that they had with the police. And I was the first president of the group and the first member of it. And it's something called the Citizens Police Academy.
Sure.
And what we did was we got the money. Dick Spillett came up with some grant running right. And we got the money so that the police could put on a program. And what it was a 13-week program. First week might have been the chief tour of the station and the like. Next night was Mr. Chief Teachman did a presentation on the constitutions and whatever, it involves relating to them. And then there was different times along the way that we would have specialists in the police department come in and talk to us about different items that are concerning: alcoholism and driving, drugs, domestic violence. All these programs were covered in a one-night issue. But the city of New Bedford, along with Dartmouth, I got them to go along with it too, and I believe Wareham has similar programs for the Citizens Police Academy. But I felt it was a tremendous waste of taxpayers' money to have these programs and educate these people as to what the role of the police department is and the like. And I think we would like to have an alumni group come together of all these people that can help move the interest of the community ahead, to be able, as eyes and ears of the town, that if we see something. One of the programs that we had before cell phones became very, very popular was we got a phone company allow us to have two phones. And the two phones could only call two numbers. And that was the headquarters at the police department and narcotics. So if you saw something that you thought was unusual or anything like that, you would get a direct line right into the PDs so that they could take action on whatever you talked about. So that was another program that we had that was, to me, well worthwhile.
Sure.
I was an advocate for cameras in the community, to be able to have the areas that are rough have some cameras in. As a result, North Front Street has a lot of cameras in there and everything like that. We were honored at the State House by, as I mentioned earlier. So that was another thing.
So let me ask you a question. The Democrat Party, certainly in your lifetime, has changed significantly, right? Where do you put yourself? Are you on the hard left, the Hamas wing of the party, as I call them? The people who were out in the streets recently on Union Street demonstrating on behalf of Hamas to cut aid to Israel. Is that your part of the party, or would you call yourself? I'll let you characterize.
I know what you're saying, but I mean, I hate to labels is a big thing with me. I try to do what's right. I personally believe, and I can't understand why it hasn't happened yet, is the UN. In other words, I look back to my youth, and the UN had blue hats, and they were going into areas as a unified. Why can't they do the same thing here? Right. Yesterday, there was a massacre in there where a lot of innocent people were killed.
Where was the massacre? In Gaza?
In Gaza. They were going for food. They shipped a load of food, and the military thought they were getting too close to their tanks, and they opened up on them and killed about 100 people.
The Israelis opened up.
The Israeli opened up. It shouldn't be the case. I mean, it's so ridiculous that.
But your party is divided along those lines. But recently we had a call to Leon. We had a call from someone who used to be part of the Coalition for Social Justice, that crowd, and who's no longer with them. He broke from them. Asked about the rise of hardcore socialists, communists within the Democrat Party locally, the party committees that you oversee, really, New Bedford and specifically. What are your thoughts about the direction of the party going in that way?
Well, I've always been a free spirit, speaking my mind, and I can flash back to a meeting that I had with I won't say which governor it was, but he had a rally section of a lot of Democrats up in Boston and everything like that. And he talked about all the progress that he's done and everything like that. And he asked at the end of the event, does anybody have any questions? So I had a question, and basically it was getting to a point where immigration was an issue. Now, immigration, we're very comfortable with in the Bullitt Street situation, because these people were getting robbed by bad people in New Bedford, stealing their money because they couldn't put it in a bank.
The Guatemalans,
Guatemalans. Yeah. So we got a hold of the police department and says this shouldn't be the case. These people shouldn't be played on, regardless of what they do. So the police got involved, and that was one thing that we had. So basically, I had an opportunity of talking to the governor directly in a massive crowd, and I says, there's laws on the books of what should be done, and basically sometimes they're not necessarily being followed, and I don't think that's right. Mm-hmm. And I was called on, about the thing, and the person said, well, we'll have the chairman of committees give you a call and then get you back in line or whatever. But,
Okay.
but that's whatever. So basically, I'd like to see if we can do some sort of an alumni group. I'm looking at the sheriff, the current sheriff now that's in Bristol County.
Paul Haru, he's here once a month.
I'd like to. I reached him, and I've got to put a letter together to get permission from him to visit him.
Sure.
Bullitt Street Neighborhood Association and Neighborhoods United, which is the parent organization of all the things, was offered by Tom Hudson.
Yes.
To come to
He'll be
the
here at 11.
Huh?
He'll be here today at 11.
To come by our jail, and if you want to have your meeting here, we can have your meeting here.
Sure.
So we said, sure, opportunity, So we all went to the jail and went into Dartmouth and had a meeting there. So the meeting was over, and there was the sheriff brought some people in that showed that they're working with the people in this place to turn them around and everything like that. So after the meeting was over, they said, does anybody want to take a tour of the jail? Before you leave, I'll give you a walking tour. So I was one of the people. 3 or 4 of us was one of the people. And basically what happened, we got into the jail itself, and there's no bars. It's all solid glass. It's, it's and everybody's walking around like it's Hometownville or anything like that. I said, so many people here. What do you do about laundry?
Right.
He says, well, we've got our own laundry machine there, and we do all our laundry except for one class of people, and that was the females.
Okay.
I'll show you that when we get down to that wing of the females section.
Sure.
So we walked around, and then the guy says to me, "This is what I was telling you about. They have their own washing machines and facilities in their thing, so they do their own laundry there." So I'm walking in the door, and this girl says, I know that guy.
Right. Uh-oh.
I know that guy. I said, you might know me, but I don't know you.
Right.
I know him.
That's my story too, Charlie.
I know. Yeah, well, there's a happy ending, I think.
Oh, I bet.
So I says, I really don't know you, So what I had, my business was in a Bullitt Street North Front area, and there was a lot of characters around there, hookers and everything like that,
Yeah.
So she says, I know him. He's the Maytag man. I said, I give up. Yeah, you got it. But whatever.
No, there's a happy ending.
I guess it is.
Yeah. So we have Charles Mata here, who's on the Democrat State Committee. What do you think of President Biden? You're all for him, I would assume.
Yes, I do. I'm of the Kennedy reign, and Kennedy did not care who his committees were. He wanted the best of the best for education, for this or that, and he hired anybody he had. I feel it should be the same thing now, but by the same token, it's so difficult to go head to head with an individual that's so entrenched in the like, And I think he's competent to do it. I mean, I'm about the same age as you may look.
Yeah,
and I think he's doing a good job. I would personally like to see him possibly, and again, it's a done deal now. It's too far to do any changes, too far to raise any money for anybody else. But I would have liked to see him tie up with a VP that is unique. Maybe Hillary Clinton.
So Kamala Harris is not your VP.
Well, she's okay. I mean, she ran a race against him, and she was competent, and she's got her credentials. I'm not saying that she's a ball of fire, but neither was a lot of other people, But
if God forbid something happened to our president,
we own him. We own her.
We own her. So you comfortable with that?
Well, she hasn't got it yet. Actually, it's just the presidential we're doing now, and again, he can choose.
But if God forbid something happened to the president of the United States, and Kamala Harris was then naturally by the Constitution elevated, would you be comfortable with her as president?
I would think so. I think she's a competent person. I was more fearful of Mr. Trump when he was president. That I saw a boat shooting all kinds of rockets over to the Afghanis there every 10 seconds or something like that. I mean, it was one of these things. Now you've got the Russians talking. We get the nuclear bomb. You guys better not do anything stupid. Okay, we're gonna blow you away. I don't know. It's a sad world out there, but that's why I'm trying to make it a little bit different.
It's a You mentioned the Kennedy. You go back to President Kennedy, right?
Yep.
Was that the reason you became
President
a Democrat?
Kennedy,
yeah. President Kennedy, well, Senator Kennedy, you probably knew him as Senator
Teddy.
Kennedy. Teddy Kennedy, you knew. So, who's shed his mortal coil now, was a colleague of our president. For the first time in your lifetime, in mine, obviously, a Kennedy is running for president, not as a Democrat. How does that impact your Democrat Party?
Basically, as a spoiler. I mean, he's not running as a Democrat, like you say.
No, he's independent.
He's a spoiler. I forget who the other individual was that did that from the Texas or something like that.
Ross
Perot type of thing, and it's, I don't know who it affects or whatever, but it's a big game, it's a big chess game.
Would you like to see him in the Democrat Party again?
I don't know anything about him.
Bobby
Basically,
Kennedy?
the things
he used to hang around New Bedford years ago in the 70s.
Who's this?
Bobby Kennedy.
Okay, Junior, the third?
The one who's running for president.
Oh, okay.
Junior, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he says, well, the kids don't need to be vaccinated. Let him, he's got all kinds of weird stuff. And it's basically, I don't know what to say. I'm not here to recommend or not recommend anything, but.
Well, just you're the Democrat state committee man for this district. And so we have a presidential ballot right now with Joe Biden on it. And your name's on there too.
Correct.
You'd like people to vote for both of you.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I have no qualms with that. I'm a Democrat. He's our choice, and if he makes it, we'll run with him. I guess. I don't know what to say. I'm not a power broker, if that's what you mean.
Well, no. It's interesting. I appreciate your honesty. I think a lot of people feel the same way about Biden. Mm-hmm. That if he gets it, he gets it.
Yeah. Well, again, who else is there? I mean, we had comparable people there. I mean, Hillary Clinton, when she ran. Trump was walking around with her and making faces and everything. I mean, it's a dog and pony show.
Yeah.
But it's sad that we've come this way. But, I mean, it's getting down to the point where, like I earlier said, if you got a D or an R afternoon, I know what you're thinking.
Right.
And that shouldn't be the case.
No.
I would like to do meetings with you and Robert together in here and just say what we're doing. If you
this is a commercial enterprise, so I don't know that we'd be able to do that, okay. Right? I mean, but it would be fun. Believe me, I have a role for you on this program. There's no doubt about that. I can think of, you have time, right? In the future, if I schedule you to come in again?
Sure, we probably could do something. You got time for me to make one more comment?
You got plenty of time.
There's a program that I am trying to put through, and again, it's moving ahead very, very slowly, but it will turn the South Coast upside down.
All right.
Okay, what do we have here in the South End, the South Coast that's really good? Well, New Bedford, they got their whaling museum.
Yes.
Tremendous facility. I mean, I can't remember the last time I, went through it. Fall River, what do they got? Battleship Cove.
Right.
Okay, what else is there? Now, what else is there? There's entertainment. So you got the Tweeter Center, you've got the Dunkin' Donuts Center, you got the Boston Garden, you got Fenway Park,
right?
You got Circus in the Round and everything like that. Where's ours?
Right.
Well, the problem with that is there's so many requirements that you have to live up to. You're not having it in my neighborhood, buddy.
Right.
You got to have plenty of parking. That's a ding. You got to have a way of getting there and getting out of the place. You have to have a place that's inexpensive to build or something like that. I've got all those solved.
You do?
I like to think I do. There's only one bad thing, and I'll tell you about that at the end of the conversation.
Sure.
Basically, we have assets in Massachusetts that are being totally underutilized.
Okay.
And one of those assets, and again, I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself because this hasn't really gone that far.
Okay.
But I would like to have an entertainment center in the South Coast.
Okay.
Now, getting back to the items that I said, let me fast forward and I'll tell you the location and I'll tell you what it has.
All right.
Originally, they said, well, UMass, you could do something like that. They got plenty of park and everything like that. You couldn't get by the place at the malls with that type of thing.
Right.
So I've been working with the former mayor of Fall River. Okay. And after he left his job, he took a plum job.
Jazel Correa?
No. Before that. He took a job with the Parks and Recreation. He was the chair of the Parks and Recreation. Eddie Lambert. Yeah. I didn't vote for him, but I'm not from Fall River.
Right.
So basically, I met with him at Hoss Neck Beach.
Sure.
And he kind of complained that this place is a beautiful place and it's a wonderful and this, that, but it's totally underutilized.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, well, gee, you got a highway coming right down here. It's an interstate off 195. It's lock-upable. There's only one road in, one road out. It can be isolated there. You got a breeze off the water there.
Beautiful.
You've got massive parking lots, one of which would entertain a tent, a circus tent from Chase Canopies.
Sure.
Oh, I can't advertise. I'm
No,
sorry.
go ahead. It's fine. Chase is a good
Chase
company.
is there. And I basically would have infrastructure. They've got the concessions, they got internet, they got electricity, they got the like, you know.
Charlie, I have to take a break. We're talking circuses here. We have Charlie Mata here in studio talking about circuses, Horseneck Beach. It's a wild time, folks. He's on the ballot for the Democrat State Committee. He's been running the party, part of the party anyway, for the last 4 years. He wants another 4 years. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Have you seen her? So bad and pretty, moving with a style and ease. And I feel her from across the room. Yes, it's love in the third.
Welcome back. I'm Chris McCarthy. We have Charles Mata here in studio. He's running for re-election to the Democrat State Committee. He has opposition in the form of Leon Corey, who I had here yesterday. Today we're giving Mr. Mata the same amount of time, 1 hour in the 10 a.m. hour here on the program. Your opponent yesterday says he can do the job better than you. One of the interesting things he brought up, we were just talking about it off the air, and so I want to reference it here on the air. I asked him, do you have to be, or he implied he didn't have to be a registered Democrat to be on the Democrat State Committee. I thought that was odd because on the Republican side, you have to be a Republican to be on the town committee or be the state committee person. So is that rule not the same for the Democrats?
What I think is that Mr. Corey's idea is that he can do a write-in on the ballot itself. I don't even know if Fairhaven has a Democratic committee. They've been up in the air, they're off. But I was going to go to the Secretary of State's office and see where the caucus is going to take place for Fairhaven, but I didn't get around to doing it. But last note that there was nobody running a Democratic committee in Fairhaven.
Okay.
But he can do it in the write-in. The ballot's still going to be there, but there'll be empty names on one side. So he can write his name in, as if he get 35 votes, then he's a Democrat, I guess. I don't know.
The Democrat State Committee, again, we've talked about a lot of issues, but primarily your job is to recruit candidates. I mean, you have every seat now, so and to recruit people into the city and to build the town committees.
One of the biggest responsibilities that I have is the convention, the national convention.
Okay.
Now, Massachusetts, I believe, has 16 electoral votes on the states to cast for whoever they choose as president.
Okay.
So that means that the 16 votes or something is going to be given on the floor of the national convention.
Yes.
Now, to get on that, you have to get voted in.
Yes.
And I'm one of the people that vote for these people. So I'm getting calls all the time from individuals from Springfield or anything like that. I've been a Democrat all this time. I'm in nursing. I'm black. I'm there. Whatever the situation is,
Right.
Would you please consider voting for me? And I said, I take it in, get their information, send me a resume. And so then it comes down to a meeting that we're going to choose who these people, 16 people are. And that's one of my major responsibilities, other than going to conventions and listening to all the dog and pony shows that are going on there, about who's who. And again, I've seen a lot of them,
Scott Lang, the former mayor of New Bedford, is a regular here on the program, close friend of mine. He has written an open letter saying, President Biden, thank you for your service. We don't think you ought to run again. You seem to be kind of lukewarm on President Biden. I don't blame you, but of course I'm a Republican. Do you agree with former mayor of New Bedford, Scott Lang, longtime Democrat, that maybe President Biden has given his best and we thank him, but we would rather not see him on the ballot this year?
Well, what's the alternative? In other words, who's going to fill a thing at this late in the game?
Right.
There's no money around anywhere, and they're loaded with money.
Right.
But
So it's a fait accompli.
I would think so. I don't know what to say. I mean, it should have been done a long time ago if you wanted to go head to head with Mr. Biden. But,
Right.
I mean, I don't see any problem because he stutters or whatever the situation. So what? I mean, if he's making logical sense, which I think he is, he got this thing passed for the border, but the Republicans said no on it.
You like this border bill?
Huh?
You like this passed border bill? Because our 2 senators from Massachusetts voted no.
It could be the case.
They did. They voted no
to accept the
border bill. Warren and Markey voted against it.
Okay.
It wasn't just the Republicans.
Okay. No, but
Do you like Elizabeth Warren? She's up for re-election.
she is, and she's going to be the featured speaker at the convention.
Oh, God, that'll be great.
I'm going to attend. I don't know if anybody's running against her, and that would be the opportunity to do it too. You take up
In the Democrat primary.
in the Democratic primary. So she's going to be at the convention. I guess she's going to be one of the featured speakers. But
Is that a big draw for you?
it's a draw to be participating as a Democrat in a convention like that. But I just don't want to say that it's time to change. Whatever.
Do you like Elizabeth Warren? Do you think she's doing a good job?
I believe that she's a hard worker. Everybody says, "Oh, Pocahontas." And again, it's name-calling type thing. I mean...
Well, she did claim she was an American Indian to get a preferential position at Harvard, which normally would have been filled by a Native American, but she's not Native American. Did you find that not
I found that there was a blank in the bottom of there was a blank at the bottom of her application for Harvard University, and there was a thing, are you any Native group or African or something like that? She knew, her parents said that your 13th cousin down the line was a Shawnee or whatever kind of Indian he was,
Right.
So she wrote it in. What's the big deal? I mean,
Well, the big deal is those are federally protected slots in lucrative jobs.
In the real world, right? In
the real world.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So do you believe in that affirmative action type programs? Or not?
I believe that she felt she was an Indian. And if my parents told me that my cousin way down the line was a slave or something, I don't know. It's too much. What do they think? What do they want to do? That's my thing. And she's got the brains for it. I don't know if you ever read her book about being a divorcee, having to bring up a child, go to college at the same time, and get into.
I got to be honest with you. I don't really gravitate to that genre.
Oh, okay.
I don't find that I'll ever have that experience. Yeah. Charles, we have to take a quick break, folks. Stick around. We'll be right back.
It ain't the way you move. It ain't the way that you move me. Oh, no.
Welcome back. I'm Chris McCarthy. We have Charles Monty. Charles, I have to tell you, it's been a delight having you in here. I'd like to have you back. We got a bunch of stuff we can cover. But right now, you're up for re-election. So I wish you luck. Re-election is a Democrat state committee. People are voting right now. They can go vote at their city halls, the main library in New Bedford.
Last day.
Yeah. Make a pitch.
No, it's my family uses the mail-in. They're educators, and they can't duck in and duck out. So it's been a good process with us. I have no qualms with people utilizing that. My wife uses it all the time, so it's a good idea. And I believe that more people should show their interest in their community and take an active interest and not complain after the fact that there's too much this or too much that.
We have a number of competitive races coming up here in the district. You're really one of the first because it's on the Democrat ballot for president.
March 5th.
March 5th is the actual election. March 5th, but they can early vote now.
With today's the date.
Yeah, early voting. So March 5th, and you represent the towns of Mattapoisett, Fairhaven, Dartmouth, Acushnet, and the city of New Bedford.
What a territory.
That's a big territory. Senator Montigny's territory.
Exactly.
I don't think he'll have a Republican opponent this time.
I mean, he can just go so long, you know. I mean, he's accomplished a tremendous amount of work in our area, and he's a guiding light to the city. I mean, he watches over us, and he knows the ins and outs. And
he's here. He's available for me all the time.
Sure.
I talk to him off the air and on the air. He sits right where you were. He was here earlier in the week, Wednesday, sitting right there. So he's always accessible.
Sure.
He's always accessible. So, look, Charles, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Coming up here on the election, no matter how it turns out. And, of course, I'll be on the other side as a Republican. Yeah. But I agree with you. Republicans, Democrats, at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything. We're all trying to get to somewhere.
True.
Right?
What's best for our country